In the male, the gonads are the testes. So those are the gonads that are producing our sperm and producing our sex hormones. And the testes have to be kept 2 to 3 degrees lower than body temperature. So in order for spermatogenesis to occur appropriately, they have to be cooler than the body. So they're held outside the body in this structure called the scrotum. So the structure that's holding the testes is the scrotum. So if you look at these models, on the posterior aspect, the skin is showing the scrotum. And then on the anterior aspect, it's showing our epididymis, or in sorry, it's not showing our epididymis. The epididymis should be inside. So on the I guess this is showing one of our muscles. That's a testis. And then this is showing you the blood vessels that are coming up through this region called the spermatic cord. The spermatic cord enters this inguinal canal, and then our ductus deferens will enter the pelvic cavity, but we'll talk more about that in just a second. So the scrotum is this structure that's holding the testes outside the body, and it has 2 muscles that are going to be important with helping to keep the testes at an appropriate temperature. So it's got one called the cremaster and one called the dartus. And what the cremaster muscle does is it contracts to pull the testes up when it's cold. To some degree, when it's hot, it can relax and suspend the testes a little bit further away. The second muscle is called the dartus muscle. And it only functions when it's cold. So once the cremaster has pulled the testes up, the dartus will kind of contract and pull them in. So it's going to shrivel them in toward the body. So both of those are contained within the scrotum. If we look at the testes, it's surrounded by this connective tissue layer, the tunica albuginea. And within the testes, we have these tubules called seminiferous tubules. These are going to be the site of sperm production. So we'll look at those in a little more detail in a bit. So the tunica albuginea is the connective tissue-like capsule, and it's surrounding these seminiferous tubules that are arranged into these little lobules. And our seminiferous tubules are the site of sperm production. We'll come back to these in just a minute. So that spermatic cord has blood vessels that are serving the testes, nerves, lymphatics, and it's going to go up through the inguinal canal, and with it it's bringing this what's called the ductus deferens, or the vas deferens. So for our accessory ducts in males, our testes are gonads, so they're the primary sex organ. They're going to produce sperm. That sperm is then going to move to this next accessory duct, which is called the epididymis. And the epididymis is a temporary storage site for sperm, but it also is where sperm learn to swim. So they're not reproductively capable straight from the testes. They've got to go to the epididymis and gain motility. So it's a temporary storage site and the site of, I guess, learning motility, we'll just say, which is the ability to swim. So from the epididymis, sperm will continue their journey in this next accessory duct called the vas deferens, or the ductus deferens. This is what they cut and tie in a vasectomy. So this is the ductus deferens, and what it's going to do is it's going to bring the sperm into the pelvic cavity. We can see our spermatic cord is this region here, and continuing up out of it is this ductus deferens. So that's going to penetrate the inguinal canal and enter the pelvic cavity, and it's going to come back here on the posterior side of the bladder and join with our first accessory ducts. So, but before we go to our accessory ducts, we should finish talking about our, it's going to meet with our first accessory gland. So we'll finish talking about our accessory ducts first. So the seminiferous tubules, again, are the site of sperm production. They're going to conduct sperm to the epididymis. The epididymis is the site where our sperm are going to learn motility. Then they're conducted through the ductus deferens. From the ductus deferens, the ductus deferens meets up with our first accessory gland back here, and both of those are going to dump into this little duct right here called the ejaculatory duct. So the next accessory duct, we'll say we go from the vas deferens to the ejaculatory duct. From the ejaculatory duct, our fluids now are going to enter the urethra. So those are all of our accessory ducts, starting with the epididymis, moving to the vas deferens, going to the ejaculatory duct, leaving the body through the urethra. For our accessory glands, you can see as our ductus deferens is going to come into the body, it's going to meet up with this seminal vesicle. So this enlarged region here is the ampulla of our ductus deferens, and it's going to meet up with the seminal vesicle and enter this little ejaculatory duct. So the seminal vesicle is our first accessory duct, and it's going to be really important because it's producing most of the content of semen. So seminal vesicles release what's called seminal fluid. And seminal fluid is slightly alkaline, so it's going to help neutralize the acidic urethra. Other things about seminal fluid, it's got a clotting factor, so it contains enzymes that clot the sperm together. It's a lot easier to get the sperm to their target if they go as a group instead of just letting millions of them out there all on their own. It would be harder for them to target the female reproductive tract if they were all apart. So the seminal vesicles are going to help to clot them together. Seminal fluid also contains chemicals that stimulate reverse peristalsis in the female. Other things that seminal fluid has, it's got nutrients, and we'll say it's about 70% of semen. So during ejaculation, sperm is going to enter the vas deferens, seminal fluid, so it'll be coming through, and when our sperm gets to this region and meets with the seminal vesicles, then sperm and semen will both enter this short ejaculatory duct. The ejaculatory duct passes into the prostate, which is our next accessory gland, and it's going to add prostatic fluid. But it also has enzymes that are going to break this clot down after 20 to 30 minutes, so that when the sperm now have made it to the female reproductive tract, they can break apart and go swim. So it's got enzymes to break down clot. Prostatic fluid.
No, the other little circle on the right side.
Oh, prostate. Sorry,
Okay.
That's the prostate gland.
Okay, it's like it's too weird.
So if we look in here, our seminal vesicles are on the posterior side of the bladder. If you look at the model, that's where you see seminal vesicles. Our prostate gland is this pinkish big gland that you see right here. You can see it also on the inside of the model right here. So you can see a little bit of it on the outside, but then you can also see it on the inside. So now our seminal fluid, our sperm, and our prostatic fluid is going to continue down the urethra, and we'll meet our other accessory glands, called Cowper's glands sometimes, but also bulbourethral glands. And they are very small, and you can see them on the models. They're really tiny. So you can't see them from the outside at all. You can only see them from the inside of the model. So make sure you have a look at that and can see it when you're doing lab. And these glands actually become activated before ejaculation. So during the excitement phase of the male sexual response, these glands will begin secreting an alkaline fluid that's going to neutralize the acidic urethra and lubricate the penis. Bulbourethral fluid is also added to semen, but it kind of starts before semen also. I'm going to write on the board because this right side of the board stinks. So bulbourethral fluid is also going to help neutralize this urethra, but it also lubricates the penis. So from there, semen will continue through the spongy urethra and be carried out of the body to the female reproductive tract. So the urethra is dual conducting for urine, and urine's acidic. So, and the female reproductive tract is also acidic. So by adding, seminal fluid and bulbourethral fluid are alkaline. So overall, semen is alkaline. There's citrate in prostatic fluid. Citrate is an acid. But there's more alkalinity in your seminal fluid and your bulbourethral fluid, so that overall semen is alkaline. That's going to be important because the urethra is acidic and the female reproductive tract is acidic. So the male copulatory organ is the penis. And it's got different regions that we should be aware of. The end of the penis is called the glans penis. You can see the glans penis here. It's covered with this skin called the prepuce. Then the body or the shaft of the penis continues up into the root of the penis. And at the root of the penis, or at the base of the penis, some books call it root, some books call it base, is this muscle called the bulbospongiosus muscle. So that muscle is back here, and it's going to forcefully contract during ejaculation to expel semen from the male reproductive tract. So that's the bulbospongiosus muscle. Those are the regions, kind of the larger regions from the outside. If you look at the inside, there are 3 erectile bodies in the penis that are going to engorge with blood and make the penis hard. 2 what are called corpus cavernosum. So both of these are corpus cavernosum. And then down here we have the corpus spongiosum. So all 3 of those are erectile bodies. Or the erectile tissue in the males. So we've got 2 corpus cavernosum, 1 corpus spongiosum. So on the models, then the purple is the corpus spongiosum, and this kind of, let me make sure I put this on the right side. This guy only has half a penis. This white part up here is the connective tissue between our corpus cavernosum. When you pull it apart, you can see the corpus cavernosum up here and the corpus spongiosum down there. So on the other half of this penis, you've got another corpus cavernosum. So there are 2 of those. Primary sex organs are the testes. Our accessory ducts are the epididymis, the ductus deferens, the ejaculatory duct, and the urethra. And our accessory glands are the seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, and the bulbourethral glands, which are not really on this picture. Oh yeah, I guess they are. They're right here, these little guys. And then the male copulatory organ is the penis. So it's going to be able to enter the female reproductive tract and deliver sperm.